everyone, this is Dawn. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to make glittered ornaments and we're going to turn them into cards. So these are the two that we'll make today. You need to start out with I call it a glitter box, and it has a Swiffer at the bottom and then a coffee filter. And I've applied double stick paper to white daisy cardstock, and then I've die cut it with the custom ornament thin cut. So that's what I have here. I'm removing the adhesive protective sheet, and then I'm placing it down just about ½ inch in and exposing just that portion of the adhesive. So I'm using silk microfine glitter. This is from Elizabeth Crafts, and you can get it on their website. So you pour that on the exposed adhesive and then you tap it off, and then you funnel the excess glitter back into the jar. This is all about keeping the glitter under control because it can get everywhere. And then you burnish the glitter that's on the adhesive. You press it in and move it around and it polishes up and it gets really shiny and more colorful. And then I remove the protective sheet, the adhesive protective sheet again, and move it over just a bit more, and then I switch colors. So now I'm pouring on the green, and because I've polished the red glitter, the green glitter won't stick to it. So you tap it off and then you brush off the excess and funnel the green back into the jar. These glitters last forever. I've had them for a few years and it hardly looks like I've used any. Then you polish the green. And if you continue following these steps, then you won't have colors mixing together. So then the green stripe is done. And again, you remove the adhesive covering and move it over just a bit. You can create all different kinds of designs, like a kaleidoscope. It depends on, what you have masked off and what you've exposed for the adhesive, and the possibilities are endless. You can use all different kinds of colors. So now I'm doing the same thing with the gold. Pretty soon I'm going to skip ahead to like the last color because it's the same repetitive process. And polish it up. And then move the protective sheet again. They're so pretty once you get finished with them, and sparkly and colorful. I don't know if the camera can pick up just how sparkly they get. I'll have a couple of close-up shots at the end of the video, and hopefully you'll be able to see how pretty they look. So you brush it off and then polish it in. So the other two ornaments that you see to the right side of my workspace there, I created those on a previous video titled Glittered Ornament Cards, and so you can see how I made those on that video if you're interested in seeing them. So now it looks like I'm on the last color. Tap it off and funnel it in. And then polish it up. And I'll get done with this ornament and glitter up the topper in gold as well. And then after that we'll make another ornament, and then I'll turn the two into Christmas cards. I'll show you how I did that. So I'm doing the ornament topper right now. It's the same process. Polish that up. And I'm using the Close to My Heart Custom Ornament Thin Cut for all of these ornament shapes, and that's available in the current catalog. Okay, I've cleaned up my workspace, and now I'm working on the next ornament. This one I have die cut the adhesive covered white daisy, and I've used all of the die cuts, so it's got the little shapes cut into it. And then I've snipped off the top and the bottom portion of the adhesive protective paper so that I can do multiple colors. So right now I'm doing the green on the top and the bottom, and then I'll polish that in and burnish. And it's just pressing down and rubbing the glitter into the adhesive, and that makes it stick, and then it won't flake off. It won't mix in with the next color. So then I'm taking off the middle area and pouring in the red. And because I've pressed the green in to the adhesive, the red is only going to stick to the center portion. And then we'll polish that up. Get all the glitter burnished in. Okay, now let's turn them into cards. So I have my ornaments and the toppers all glittered up, and I've used an older retired Close to My Heart embossing folder. It's a string of Christmas lights, but there's an embossing folder in the current catalog. It's got snowflakes on it, so you could use that. That could work too. So I'm building my card, and it's pretty simple. I'm keeping it simple so that the focus is on the colorful ornament. I'm using New England ivy and applying it with or adhering it with the broad tip glue pen. And it's a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch card. And the paper that I used to emboss the string of Christmas lights, I found it in my stash, and it's kind of a pearlescent paper. It's got a really, the camera doesn't pick it up, but it's kind of a pearl paper. It's got a nice subtle glimmery effect that won't take away from the pretty ornament, but it adds a nice touch. So that's cut just a smidge smaller to make a border of New England ivy around the edges. And now I'm going to apply the ornament, and I'm going to pop it with thin foam tape. And after having finished the card, I would advise you to, if you're going to make something similar to this, don't use the foam tape, because the sentiment it's so fine cut that I wasn't able to also pop it, and so with the part of the sentiment is covering the ornament, and so they're on two different levels. I managed to make it work, but going forward I kept everything on the same level, so I didn't pop anything from this point forward. It was just a lot easier to work with to keep everything on the same level. If you pop one item and you have something covering a popped item, that also needs to be popped, and so if that makes any sense. So now I'm applying the sentiment with the Aqua Tombow, and I've decanted the glue into a fine tip glue bottle. I find these small bottles, they're from a maker called Doris, and I decant just about everything into them because they're much easier to handle in the small size. I do have the fine tip applicator for the liquid glass, but the bottle's bigger and it's just harder for me to get into those tiny spaces, and you're holding it for a long time, so I just found it to be easier. So I'm applying a bow, and this is from my stash. And I have cut that sentiment 3 times to add dimension, and then I've covered it with the, I've painted it with the Close to My Heart black shimmer brush pen, and then now I'm covering it with liquid glass to kind of sandwich that shimmer in. Okay, now we're on to the next card, and it's very similar. I kept them all, the designs pretty similar, just the ornaments are all different. So it's another 5.25, excuse me, 5.5 by 4.25, and this is another pearl paper. And it's got kind of a swirly design in it. I found it in my stash. So I'm applying this with my favorite glue. It's the broad tip glue pen, Bonding Memories. And that's New England Ivy cardstock, and then I've cut that pearl paper just a smidge smaller so that I can have a border of the New England Ivy around it. And this paper, it's really thin. I don't usually use the Tombow for cards, but because it's so thin, a liquid glue would make the paper wrinkle. So I have that down with the border of New England Ivy around it, and I'm going to adhere my ornament. So I'm thinking, which glue should I use? And I landed on the white Tombow. It's a thicker glue and it'll grab hold of that shimmery paper. And then I will apply the topper with the white Tombow as well. The sentiment I got, it's made by a company called Creative Expressions, I believe. And it says, "May your Christmas sparkle." So I've cut that 3 times, layered it. I've done that off camera, and so now I'm going to apply it to my card. And I'm using the Aqua Tombow because when it dries matte. And since the sentiment is so fine, there's glue that comes out over the edges, and so once it dries you won't see it. So now I'm covering that with the liquid glass. And it was also colored with the black shimmer brush, so it has a little shimmer to it. And now I'm going to make a bow to put on there. This is from our current thin white and gold skinny ribbon, and I'm sticking that down with a glue dot. And then we're all finished. I appreciate you taking some time to watch my videos today. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I'll make a list of all the supplies that are available from Close to My Heart. I'll list them below. And thanks for watching.